I am a little disappointed in this top coat that I'm using. I ran out of my Madam Glam no wipe top coat. I'm just rubbing some alcohol on it. And I've tried a few different ones that I have, and for whatever reason, even though they're supposed to dry with without a tacky layer, it's for some reason still tacky. And I can't seem to get it to cure without tackiness, and I can't seem to cleanse it. So I'm going to have to buy my usual top coat real soon so I can get that all settled. But this is the set that I'm going to be doing today. I'm absolutely in love with it. I love the 3D effect that I got on all of them. It's difficult to tell I guess in a photo or just seeing it, on TV, that this is 3D. I sculpted a 3D hood for Gwen. So hope you stick around. Give me a like and a subscribe, and let me know if you like these videos so I can keep bringing you content that you want. And I will see you at the end to wrap up. Hello everyone, welcome. What is with my voice? Hello everyone, welcome back to Nails by Sora. This one I am very excited for. I wish I could have done it, narrated this while I was doing my nails, but because these designs take so long, it's usually easier to add in the commentary and the descriptions in post. That way I can look back at what I'm doing and figure out what areas need explanation and what areas I can just let play out with some music, and you guys can relax and have a spot of tea or something. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm tired. But anyway, so these are my Spiderverse nails, which I've been wanting to do for a while now, and I kept, like other designs, pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off, and more so because of nerves than anything else, and also a little bit of uncertainty with what I wanted to do. But they were always going to be Miles Morales inspired, and then after I saw the movie, I knew I had to do a Gwen Stacy, Spider Gwen nail. And so that's what these are. And I started out with a mixture of some black and a transparent blue for background color, just to bring in Miles's colors and have it give it a little bit more depth and not just straight black. But this nail is his logo, and there are a few different ones out there, but I really like the spray paint feel of the one from the first movie, where he created his own uniform out of Peter Parker's uniform. So, and I think this nail gave me a little bit more pause in terms of figuring out how I was going to achieve the spray paint effect, because I'm planning on buying one, but I don't have what's it called? Not a spray gun, airbrush yet, but I'm planning on buying one that I can use for gel colors after seeing one video where someone used it and seeing how easy it is to clean it, because that's something that's always made me nervous. I mean, it's gel polish, it's quite thick, and if it cures inside the gun, then obviously you've ruined it. So, but if you clean it right away and in between colors, it's with a little bit of acetone, it is quite easy to clean one of the airbrush tools. But I digress. I did end up just using one of my art liners with a little bit of red gel paint by Madam Glam. All the colors that I'm using are Madam Glam. And I'm just going in with the spider web and doing the lines coming out from the circle and then the ones cross-secting to create the web itself. And this is obviously sped up for time. I'm not doing it as fast as it appears, but this design was a bit easier than I expected it to be, pretty straightforward, and I just had fun with it. I think I was actually watching the movie while I was doing these nails, and I felt like the red didn't pop quite enough when I was laying it in, so I decided to accent it with a little bit of white to make it stand out from the black a little bit more. But I do have an image up on my computer, which is right in front of me for reference, so that I can see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I've tried drawing from my mind and memory in the past, and it just never works out too well. So I like to always have a reference image that I can look at while I'm doing these designs and replications. So for this second nail, I was going back and forth with drawing Miles in his entirety. One of his poses, flying through the air, and just doing the mask. And I decided that I really wanted to try to incorporate a 3D element. So I'm using some, this is actually 3D gel by Kokoist. Usually I use Madame Glam's Mirage gel, but I do have this one, so I figured I'd switch it up and just use a different brand. They work both exactly the same. Very firm. Use gloves. Do not touch it with your bare hands. And just rolling it into a ball and using my spatula to shape it the way I want. Obviously, the face has planes to it. It's not just a round sphere or an oval. So I'm dipping my spatula in a little bit of alcohol so that it doesn't stick to the gel, and just using it to pat down the sides of the face, create a jawline, create, the front aspect of the face, and give it more dimension and accuracy to it. And then after that, I go in and I cure it for a full 60 to 90 seconds. And now I'm just polishing it with some black paint, so that, gel paint rather, gel polish, so that I can go in on top of it and draw on his eyes. I did matte top coat it as well, so that I have a non-sticky but rough-ish surface to paint on. And I think this was probably the easiest nail I did. Spider-Gwen gave me quite a bit of difficulty with getting her eyes placed properly. For some reason, I had to go through and do her eyes like 3 or 4 times. but this one was actually surprisingly easy. And the only misstep was the center of the spider web on his face is down a little too low. It should be in between his eyes, where the point comes together. But I love the way this nail turned out. The image I was referencing was in reverse. The background was white, and it's kind of like he was coming through a piece of paper where it was ripping all around him, or maybe crossing through dimensions. But I wanted the background to be black, so I decided to create the fissures and the lines in white to kind of get that same effect. I'm not sure. It kind of looks more like lightning than him breaking through a dimension, but I still really do like the effect and the way it turned out. And as I said, it was pretty straightforward and pretty easy to accomplish. So all in all, I'm really happy with it. Alright, so moving on to Spider-Gwen's nail, I wanted to try to give it the feeling of her universe, her dimension in the movie. And that was very watercolor with visible brush strokes and mixing of colors on the palette. But I have to remember when I'm doing a design where the subject takes over the entire nail, that I really don't have to focus so much effort on the background, because ultimately I'm going to be going over it and you won't see it. That being said, I do love the colors and the textures and everything that I got with the background. I just wish you could see more of it. So I'll have to play around with the technique and the roughness of it in future designs, because I really did like the way it turned out. So I'm just going over it with a little bit of a glass color in a brighter magenta pink, just to, I guess, kind of mix the colors a little bit better and give it a little bit more depth. I don't usually start caricature drawings by outlining their profiles, but I thought this one was necessary because I wanted to get the shape of her cowl and make sure that her hood was really outlined properly. I didn't manage the effect so much as well as I was going for, where I wanted her hood to really be a three-dimensional representation, but I couldn't figure out, short of painting it on a paper form and curing it, I didn't see how to really make her hood that three-dimensional. If you saw one of my other videos where I did a 3D dragon, I'll link it here in the cards. But I did use a paper form to kind of create a curled and furled wing. And then after I cured it, I took it and I glued it to the nail and then painted it out so that it looked like it was coming out from the nail. I could have done something like that, but I didn't know if I would be able to achieve the effect that I wanted to, and I just ultimately decided to go a different route. In person, you can really see that it's 3D, but only like a millimeter of the front of her hood comes out from the nail. But you'll see how I do that, and I do like the way it turned out. It just doesn't come across too well in the video. But in person, I think it really looks really good. So I'm just going in, I'm laying out the white aspects of her costume, and then I'm going to go in and draw her eyes. As I said, I had to do it quite a few times. I didn't keep that footage in the video because it was really making the video too long. But for some reason, with the position of her face and the way this image portrays her, I had trouble getting the angles right, and I had to do it quite a few times. So I have these really two great shades of pink, and I couldn't decide at first which one would work best. I did ultimately go with this one, the brighter pink, instead of I think the other one's hot coral. But you do want to make sure that whenever you're using these gel pigments, these gel paints, that you give it a really good stir, because the color does tend to separate out a bit. So just use an orange wood stick or a toothpick or a dotting tool, whatever you have on hand, to give it a good stir, and then you're good to go. So I'm going in and I'm outlining her eyes in the pink, and then I'm going to go in and add the pink to the inside of her cowl, and finish up the rest of her bodice with the black. So again, here I'm using the 3D gel by Kokoist, and I'm just using it to create kind of like a snake form to wrap around the top of her head for the front of her hood. Then I'm taking a little bit of alcohol on my little baby blender brush to blend the back end of it down onto the top of her hood. I do have gel stuck to my fingers, which became quite a bit of a problem. I had to clean it off, but so I'm just blending it down, making sure that it's stuck to the nail, that it kind of becomes a part of the painted area that I've already done instead of just sitting on top of it. I'm pulling a little bit off with my spatula and just making sure that it's a smooth transition. And then once I have it the way I like it, I'm going to go over it and paint over it again so that it's not clear. It takes on the color, or it has the color of the hood painted on top of it as well. So in retrospect, I probably didn't have to do as much painting and accenting on the nail itself, knowing that I was going to put other elements on top of it and then have to paint it again. But it's a learning process, and I didn't really get such a smooth surface as I was going for initially, but it is a piece of fabric, so I think it just adds, or it's supposed to have the appearance of a piece of fabric, so I think it just gives it a little bit more dimension and a little bit more of a feel of it actually being a piece of cloth and clothing versus just a painting on a nail. So of course I went in and I base coated, and I'm top coating and finishing off the nail so that it's nice and shiny. And that's going to take us to the end of this video. I'm going to throw it back to me in the past for the closing comments. Actually, it's still future me. I did not record a voiceover as I thought I did. But anyway, this is the set as you saw me do it. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching it. I had a lot of fun doing it. I absolutely love how all of the nails turned out. As I said, I do wish I was able to get slightly more of a 3D effect with Gwen's hood, but I only wish you could see it in person because it does have a lot more presence than it does on the video. But that's going to draw us to a close. If you have any comments or questions, please put them down below, and I will see you in the next video.